Hello, this is George, and this is a video that goes along with the blog post I put up yesterday on georgepruitt.com. And the name of the blog is Can You Turn Failure into Success? And as you can see, there's this beautiful looking equity curve at the top of the blog post. And you see if you are completely wrong in reverse, does that mean you're completely right? And basically, what I'm going to be showing you today goes along with the blog post. But I wanted to show you that many times when you develop a trading system, initially you think, wow, this has a lot of potential. But when you go to program it and you do test it, it just turns out to be completely opposite of what you were expecting. So I'm going to be showing some hypothetical performance numbers, and there are limitations to that, as you know. So I'm going to have you read the disclaimer real quick. This is basically saying TradeStation, EasyLanguage, and Power Editor are registered trademarks of TradeStation Technologies Incorporated. I don't want to infringe upon that. And down here is the CFTC required disclosure concerning hypothetical performance. So let me go ahead and highlight this real quick. So read this. Got my new toy here. I'm learning how to use my new software, my recording software. So read that. I'm going to give you a couple moments. The red line should dissipate, and it did. So I'm going to go ahead and kill that. Okay, let's jump into the whole reason behind the blog post. And it was because of this right here, this equity curve. This equity curve is absolutely horrible. And you're saying, well, why would you spend any time with this strategy? Well, when you see an equity curve like this, first off, you say, wow, what if I just inverted the buy and sell logic? Instead of selling short, I buy, and instead of buying, I sell short. In many cases, that simply will not work because you've got some type of execution costs involved with each trade. In this case, I was just initially testing it, so all my execution costs were set to 0. So it's not the execution costs that's beating this equity curve into oblivion. It's my logic. So I said, well, you know what? Let's see if we reverse this logic and see what happens. And before I reverse it, I'm going to tell you what the logic was initially. And I called it the rubber band system. Basically, let's kill that. Sorry about that. Basically, the market opens up, and if it moves a certain amount, it's like a rubber band. Eventually, that rubber band's going to snap back. And here is a perfect trade, or somewhat perfect trade, of what I was thinking would happen more often than not. In the case, it happened less often than not. So here is the rubber band. This is what I call the rubber band, upper band. Once it reaches a certain percentage of price above the open, I start looking to sell short. So I've got a indicator with the band, and I've got a little show me that says, okay, this bar satisfies that band. And basically I said, once I've reached that point, I want the market to move down to the prior day's low on a stop, or I want the market to move down to the prior day's low, prior bar's low, and I'm going to use a stop order to enter the trade. And here's the low, as you can tell, and here's where I got in. Now let's see if we can play with this again. I want a line, and I want this to be, let's just make it red. Let's see if that works. So I want a line. There we go. It does work. And I'm going to adjust it. Now I think I can adjust it, but as you can tell, that's the low of the prior bar, pretty close to it. Dissipates pretty quick. Let's make it a little thicker so you can see it a little better. I wanted to buy right, or I'm sorry, sell short right there. And I did. Okay, so that's the concept. I want to sell short above the market's open. I want to buy below the market's open once the rubber bands have been stretched to a certain point. So there is a sell short. Let's see if we can find a buy real quick. Let me squish this down, and I'll demonstrate the buy as well. There's that sell short that was an absolute perfect trade. Well, not absolute perfect, it would have got here if it was perfect, but it caught a pretty good portion of that downward move. Here's the rubber band, and then some report must have come out, and the rubber band really got stretched. And so I bought at the high of the prior bar once the market moved down a certain amount. And lo and behold, I missed it by quite a bit, but I did catch it in the end. Now with a strategy like this, I used a wider stop than probably you would like. I just want to test to see if I did catch a falling knife, I gave it some room. In this case, I caught a falling knife and it went down further, but I was able to survive the trade or survive catching the falling knife because I had a wide stop. Well, as we saw, the performance numbers weren't that good. Right here, the performance numbers. Let me show you the logic real quick. We won't spend a lot of time on going over the logic. Of course, you can go to my blog post and figure that out. Let's see if we shrink this down so you can see the whole thing. Get it into my little screen here. Let's pull this down. And if you want the indicator and show me, just email me at george.p.pruitt@gmail.com or contact me through my website. Let's go to rubber band original strategy. Okay, and like I said, I'm going to go really quick through this code. It's got some really interesting code, and you can use this code as a framework for any day trading system. And if you like this type of code, you can always go to, what is it, Amazon.com. Type in old George Pruitt, and you'll see my easing into EasyLanguage books. Now, this type of logic and code and type of strategy algorithm is covered in pretty much in detail in Easing into EasyLanguage, the day trading edition. If you're new to Easing EasyLanguage, you should try the foundation edition first. And then if you just want to go to day trade, you can jump right into the day trading edition. If you want to mix intraday systems that are not day trading systems and day trading systems, then you'd probably want to jump into the high res edition right here. Okay, so buy those books. They will definitely help you become a better EasyLanguage programmer. They won't necessarily help you become a better trader, but at least you can program your ideas to see if they're worthwhile or not. Okay, basically, I've got an input that says the stretch percent is 1% of price. So if the market from the high to the low or from the low to the high is 1% of price, then you start thinking of buying or selling short based on the location of that close. If it's above the open and you've reached that stretching point, then you want to sell, and vice versa if it's below the open. So basically, I come down here, I do my calculations, my max close minus open, and this is the close of the current bar minus the open of the day, is close minus today's open, max close minus open. And what this max list does, it only assigns this value if this value here is greater than the prior value. So it's always ratcheting that band. As you saw, that band was moving up, and it was never coming back down on the long side, or on the short side. See, the band always moves up, or it always just moves down, the lower band. The upper band, it's ratcheting. It's called ratcheting. And using that max list will help you with that. Keep that value ratcheting instead of moving into the direction or moving closer to the market. So that's what I'm doing there. And here's my can buy. If that's kind of hard to see. If I can buy, I'm sorry, I'm turning can buy on, and that is a Boolean. It's turned off at the beginning of the day, right here. On every bar, every beginning of every day, the first bar, I turn can buy, can short off. And let's see what this code is. You can't see it on your screen. Basically, I'm saying if the close of the current bar is below today's open, and I store today's open on the first bar of the day, and I capture the first bar of the day by setting if time equals the session start time, whatever session it is, plus 1 bar interval, meaning the time print. If you're using ES.D in local time, it's 9:35. That's your first print. So it's 9:30 plus 5 because I'm using a 5-minute bar. So I capture whatever I need to capture on the first tick or first bar of the day. So I do my calculations. I'm keeping track of the close minus today's open, and I'm also keeping track of today's open minus the close, and that's my rubber band. Okay, so if the close is below the open, and today's open minus the current bar's close equals the max open minus the close, which means I'm at that highest level. I'm at the lowest level. I'm sorry, I'm at the lowest level. Then I test to make sure the width between the max close minus open and the max open minus close, that's the upper band and the lower band. And if I divide that by the current close, if it's greater than 1%, then I turn can buy on to true. Same goes for can short, but I'm below the market. I'm below the open, I should say. I'm sorry, I'm below the open. Now, if I'm before the last bar of the trading day, session end time, and my buys today is equal to 0, and I'm not going to go into detail how you calculate your buys today. There's a little bit of a trick to that, and I do discuss that in detail in my books. So you may want to just figure that out, because you could try entries today, which is a built-in TradeStation function, but it doesn't work like you think it should. So I've created my own buys today code, a little trickery there. Then I'm going to buy the next bar at the high of the prior of the current bar, buy the next bar at the current bar's high on a stop, and I'm going to sell short at the current bar's low on a stop. Okay, that's only if the buys today is turned on and shorts today is turned on. Remember, we turn those off at the if it's can buy and can short, we turn those off at the beginning of the first bar of the trading day, and then we turn them on if the criteria is met properly. Okay, so that is the strategy, the losing strategy, that is. Now, like I said, you can't always flip systems over if they have a losing equity curve, because if your average trade is $5 on a trading system and you're levying a $25 commission slippage charge against that, that's going to produce a very negative equity curve. But it's not because the logic was necessarily really bad. It just wasn't good enough to cover execution charges. So let's go over and look at the system. We'll turn it on real quick. Studies. Studies. Let's go to Edit Strategies. Let's go ahead and turn it on. We're going to turn our good system on, the inverted rubber band system. And we're going to look at the equity curve. This can take a couple of moments. I think I got 7 years of history. And you saw where I was buying earlier there, and it turned out to be a good trade. This one turned out to be a bad trade. And you're saying, well, George, I don't know if you know what you're talking about. Well, one trade doesn't make a trading system, as we all know. So let's go ahead and look at the equity curve real quick of this strategy. Boom, it flipped it over. Now, basically, I'm just using the reverse logic, basically using the 1% stretch above and below the open. But I have gone in there and I've added some other tricks to filtering trades. So we're not trading as often. And could these tricks that I added to flipping the logic over help the other strategy, original strategy? It could help it, but it's not going to make it a winning system. We can get close to making it a winning system. So I'm going to show you my rubber band strategy. My stretch percent is the same. I'm using a $1,500 loss. I'm using a $2,750 take profit. The reason I'm using that take profit, and I am making the price go through the limit. I'm not touching the limit and executing. I'm making it go through it so it's more authentic, or more accurate, I should say, was because my $2,000 stop on the original system was getting hit very often. Here's the losing trades on the original system. I was using a $2,000 stop, and look at how many times that was hit. It was hit very frequently. So I said, well, you know, it hit 2,000 so often, I bet you we could possibly make more profit than $2,000. And in this case, it turned out to be about $2,750. Now that was an optimized parameter, and that's something you can work with as well. I don't trade before 9:30 plus 40 minutes, meaning don't trade before offset. And I can optimize that number. I can optimize that 40. I can go from 5 to 60 in increments of 5 minutes. And with the capability of how I've got it programmed, you can either shrink your trading window or expand it. And we're not going to trade after 1500, which is 3:05. There's the 5 minutes. And I'm using a range compression percent, meaning that I don't want yesterday's range to be a wide bar. I want it to be within the normal 1.05. I think it's a 20-day ATR. And that's what created this strategy here. Let's look at it again. And the numbers are pretty respectable. Like I said, instead of a mean reversion, it turned into a momentum strategy, and that happens sometimes. We got an average trade of $238. The long trades, as you can tell, during this 7-year period, we had the pandemic in that period, as you know. So probably a lot of those trades didn't work out well, and some of the short trades worked out really well during that time period. But I think overall, the trades worked out pretty evenly for this very diverse time period. So that is the strategy. You saw the logic. The logic is very simple. It's only what? It's not even 50 if you compress the lines. It's probably 45 lines or 40 lines of code. So this is a nice little framework. I give you the code on the blog. So check out georgepruitt.com, my latest blog. And like I said, if you like this type of programming, I do stuff in very clean structural format. It's the only way to program and keep things straight. Check out one of my books. Okay, I hope you enjoyed it, and I appreciate your time, and hope you have a great day. Thank you.